Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline
And Adam.
for Pixie Dust PhD. During our fall 2021 trip down to both Universal Orlando and Walt Disney World, we did about 10 and a half days at the Disney World portion, and we did eat at quite a lot of table service restaurants. So I think there were 11 in total, so basically one per day.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot, but we were there for quite a while, and I think we really wanted to try and do a lot of different dining experiences, both in and outside the parks and at the resorts.
Yep, so in this video, we'll go over some highlights, lowlights, and best value of those table service dining adventures. Stay tuned. Let's start with some highlights of our table service dining. So disregarding price at this time, if you watched our steak recap video, I think you'll know we both really enjoyed Le Cellier and Yachtsman Steakhouse.
Yeah, I think those were definitely pretty epic meals, but as far as I was concerned, my highlight was probably doing the California Grill with the fireworks and while eating a steak. Again, definitely was not the best value per se.
Yeah.
But that's not the category we're on. So I really enjoyed how it was great service, great food, and great entertainment. Which is all you can ask for.
All in all, basically, signature dining, you pay a pretty penny for it, but depending on what you get and what you value, I do think it can be, worth it. So those were great meals. And like Adam was saying about California Grill, specifically the ambiance and everything was just chef's kiss perfect. We also went to Wine Bar George for the first time down in Disney Springs. We did that before our Boo Bash night, and that was really fun. I mean, I think I'm kind of like a wine bar person. That's something we do at home. So it is a little expensive for what you get, but for a date night or a special occasion, everything was delicious, and I would go back if it was in our budget.
Yeah, it's definitely a much more accessible experience than California Grill necessarily. Accessible because Magic Kingdom is really out there compared to Disney Springs if you're just not actually going to the Magic Kingdom or staying there. So that was definitely a pretty good experience as well.
Yeah, and getting a reservation at Wine Bar George, at least in my limited experience, was cake. It was very easy compared to the stress of your advanced dining reservations, especially for something like California Grill at a fireworks seating time.
Yeah, gotta ask for that table by the window, right, babe?
You really do, though.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed our meals at both Beaches and Cream and Three Bridges. So those are normal table service, not signature dining. And I thought they were pretty dang tasty.
Oh yeah, those were really good as well. I had no complaints. I really had a nice meal.
Yeah. Generally speaking, table service at Disney World, I think is pretty great. I mean, it's a little expensive because you're at Disney World, but other than that, no huge complaints from me. All right, let's move on to some things that were, good, fine, but maybe not a highlight. So low light's a little bit of harsh language, but So for me, Via Napoli, I felt like was overrated. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed our pizza, but it definitely wasn't great pizza. It was pretty expensive. I think if you have a large group and you're trying to please a lot of people, that's a good place to go. Or if you just really love pizza, that's probably the best pizza at Disney World, or it's definitely a top choice.
Yeah, for sure.
But for me, it's I can get better pizza at home for a lot cheaper. It wasn't that outstanding. Service wasn't bad, but there was nothing amazing about it. The atmosphere I didn't find to be particularly anything that special. So I don't know. I'm not mad we went. But I wouldn't go back, and I probably wouldn't just generally recommend it. I think if you fit some special circumstances, if you have picky eaters, if you have a big group and you want everyone to be happy, it makes sense. But otherwise, there's so much better food at Epcot, honestly, I'd pass.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You're in the park at Epcot. This is really a good spot where if it's a hot day, big group, they have a really big, airy restaurant, split a big pie, pleases a lot of people. I'm sure it comes through in the clutch for a big family as well. But like Jacqueline said, the substitution effect in Epcot really is big here.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at our window and thinking, how many booths could we be eating at if we didn't eat this pizza? Now, don't get me wrong, it was still really good. Just, out of the table service places we went, probably wasn't near the top.
Yeah, lower on the list for me, for sure. And I think there were a couple places where I would go back and make different choices. So when we went to Kona Cafe, we got the wings appetizer, which was really good. My main, I got a chicken stir fry, and it was like extremely bland, like very sad, honestly. So I'm not saying I would never go back to Kona Cafe, but I don't think I would ever get the chicken stir fry again.
Yeah, I felt for me, like some of those in the resort restaurants can be hit or miss, depending on what you get. Nothing against the restaurants themselves. I think they're just trying to please a lot of people, and it's really hard to do that, to execute everything well when you have a really expansive menu like that. So like Kona Cafe or Whispering Canyon, I feel like those two, depending on what you got, you definitely could miss it, and it's not going to be a surefire hit like some of these other restaurants where you've got everything pumping on all cylinders from a ambiance, service, food, more like singles instead of like a home run.
Yeah. And then Grand Floridian Cafe also, maybe I'd hyped it up too much in my mind because a lot of people really love that table service restaurant. I think for the like location and the price and the quality, sort of all that combined. We both got the chicken and waffles, and it was fine, but it wasn't great. And I think it was like $20 or $24. And I just remember leaving feeling like, okay. Like, I think I would go back, but just get something else and see if that's much better.
Yeah, I think we both went there wanting to get chicken and waffles too. So I think maybe our expectations weren't quite in line with where they should have been,
right,
for that restaurant. But it was still a really nice experience.
Yeah, I think also like we just have really good chicken and waffles here at home in DC, and we lived in North Carolina previously, which is more of a chicken and biscuit than a chicken and waffle situation. But it was just very fine. It was fine. So yeah, I think, I assume we'll end up back at Grand Floridian Cafe because our DVC home resort is Bay Lake Tower. So it's pretty close. It's pretty easy to get a reservation, and they do have a lot of other choices on the menu. So I think we just need to explore it a little more. And then last for me in terms of semi-low lights, surprisingly might be both Topolino Stairs and California Grill. I think that it was very good, but I think that you are absolutely paying for the location and to have those like outside decks that you can go on. So we did full dinners at both of these places, and it was, it was very expensive, and we made it more expensive than it had to be. We bought like a bottle of wine and all of that. But I think in the future, if I were to go back, or when I do go back, I just want to go to the lounge, get a cocktail, get like an appetizer, and then you get all the ambiance. You're allowed to use the outside decks without having that like full seated dinner. I think, I would recommend everyone do it once probably, but unless you sort of really love that, I think the lounge is perfectly fine. And some of this is just my personality. Like when we go out at home, even when we go to restaurants, we tend to just be like, hey, can we sit at the bar? Like, I just like that more casual interaction, I think, than like the full service seated meal. So to me, I don't know that like the full dinner at Topolino's or California Grill is generally worth it, especially because there is that attached bar that gives you the option to just go get a small bite, get a drink, and then go outside and enjoy the views.
Yeah, it's a very practical way to look at it, and I agree that probably in the future we don't need to do a full sit-down dinner, but reflecting on doing it one time, I absolutely enjoyed it. It was a highlight of my trip. Do I need to do it again? Bucket list item? Yes, probably don't need to do it again.
Yeah, totally. All right, moving on to what we consider best value. So now taking price into consideration. For me, I assume also for Adam, that's going to take out the signature meals.
Yes.
Which probably were the tastiest and like the most complete in terms of service and ambiance and everything, but they're just so expensive. So for me, I think my best value winner would be Three Bridges Bar and Grill. I got a really good chicken curry. I think it was only about $17 or $18 for at a table service restaurant at Disney World. That's a really good price. And it was delicious. It was like borderline as good as some of the Indian we have at home, which is also pretty rare, I would say, for Disney World. So I thought it was tasty. The ambiance I thought was actually really beautiful. You're out in the middle of that lake, and service was good. Like
Don't
no
go
complaints.
on a stormy day, but
well.
It was still really good atmosphere and a place to sit down and eat. Especially, cool nighttime after a hot Florida day. Definitely was really nice.
Yeah.
So for me, my best value is probably Beaches and Cream. You get this big sandwich and a big sundae. I mean, it's still expensive, but you definitely get a very big helping, grandma portion, right? And a sandwich can easily be split between two people, and you can be pretty full. A single sundae can feed a family of 4 or 5 by itself in one sitting. Overall, I think it was just a really well oiled machine, that restaurant.
Yeah, and they know what they're doing. I think they have a slightly more limited menu, and they do it really well. And in terms of the cost, I mean, the sundaes I think were probably in the $12 to $14 range. But when you consider you could easily have 3 to 5 people share that as one dessert, I mean, that's 2 Mickey bars basically. Or you can get this giant sundae instead. So I definitely think the value is there. It is pretty hard to get a reservation at Beaches and Cream. It's a small place and it's quite popular, but if you can get it, I would say absolutely go for it.
Yeah, for me, that's really what made it a great value. They had a small menu, executed it well, wasn't super overpriced for what you got. Definitely a rarity in the theme park world.
Yeah, I agree. And then beyond this single trip in 2021, we have been to Disney World previously and we've done other table service dining. So we didn't repeat those locations on this trip, but just wanted to touch on some of those briefly. So one of my favorites is Tusker House. So in normal times, that's a character meal. So it's a little more expensive because it's a character meal in a theme park. It's in the Animal Kingdom. But for theme park character meals, it tends to be actually lower on the price scale. And we've done this twice before, and we like to try to get a seating like right towards the end of breakfast when lunch is gonna start. So usually lunch starts around 10:45 or 11. So we get a seating at like 10:35. You get one breakfast plate, you eat that, you get to meet the characters, and then they change everything out and you get one lunch plate. So I really love Tusker House. I think it's a relatively good value when you consider it's a character meal in a theme park. And I think the food is actually quite good, which is not something you can always say for buffet style meals.
Yeah, it really helps that you get 2 plates of 2 different things like that you feel like you would like from each of the menus. Really helps, make me want to go back.
And you pay the breakfast price.
Which is cheaper.
Which is cheaper than the lunch or dinner price, but you still get to try the lunch food. So I think that's like a really great hack. And yeah, I would do it again. It's been, when did we last do it? Probably 2019. So by the time we go back, it'll have been like 4 years and I would do it again.
Yeah, for sure. So one past dining experience that I want to highlight was probably Skipper Canteen. If you're ever been in the Magic Kingdom, sometimes the food options can be a little sparse. But this was a non-character meal where you got, the fun, campy service, right? And they're really nice and the food is pretty well executed across the board. And it's just a nice location, I think, as well.
Yeah, it's a very good option.
Bye,
okay,
guys.
bye! It's a very good option if you want to stay in Magic Kingdom, but have pretty high quality food, which like Adam was saying, can be challenging in that theme park. And then the last past restaurant I want to touch on for highlights would be Mama Melrose. We actually haven't been here since 2017.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a long while, so maybe it's changed. But when we went, I got the steak. I think we both got the steak. And I was just very surprised how good it was. So I would like to go back and maybe test that out again someday. We did it on a dining package. So we did the Fantasmic dining package. So of course we both got like the most expensive entree and stuff.
Gotta do it.
And I thought it was just gonna be very fine. Like reviews I had seen from Mama Melrose were pretty like, yeah, it's good. But I really liked it. So I definitely want to go back and test it out again. Taking these past dining experiences into account, I still would say my favorites, disregarding price, are those signature dining experiences, especially, Yachts and Steakhouse and Le Cellier for me.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed those signature dinings and the steaks. I mean, you definitely pay for it, but, if you're looking for a real highlight dining experience, Disney does come through and provide it at those restaurants.
Yeah, and in terms of value, again, I would say Three Bridges and Beaches and Cream are probably better value than anything else we've done previously, with the exception of, for a character meal, I do think Tusker House is pretty exceptional.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And, I feel like that also when you're dining, just going back to the lowlights recapping, those hotel restaurants can be hit or miss. So, if you do go, just kind of keep that in mind.
All in all, if you can budget for signature dining, I think we would highly suggest it. But otherwise, there are a lot of great table service options that are cheaper. And like Adam said, could be hit or miss, but the hits are very high. So it's definitely worth trying them out.
Yeah, especially if it's convenient for your day or you're staying in that resort. Definitely eat there. So can be super good, super convenient.
Yep, I'm looking forward to trying Steakhouse 71 for the first time. So that is in the Contemporary. Again, our home resort, Bay Lake Tower. So it'll be very convenient for us to just pop over and get lunch or dinner or hit up the lounge. So maybe that'll become a new favorite. What are some of your favorite table service meals? Let us know in the comments down below. I'm especially interested to hear what you think is a good value or what is very consistently delicious, because I think the hit or miss factor always makes me hesitant to go back to some places. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you found this helpful. If you did, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. You can ring that bell icon to receive notification whenever we upload new videos. And if you want to chat about any of this outside of YouTube, you can find me over on Twitter and Instagram at PixieDustPhD. We were very fortunate to sort of just splurge on this vacation and do, one table service meal a day. That's not something we typically do when we're on vacation down to Disney World, but it was really nice. I had a great time. I hope the next time you're in Disney World, you have some great table service dining experiences too. May the rest of your day be magical, and we'll see you real soon at Pixie Dust PhD.
Bye.